Welcome to Leader Lifestyle Hub. As we have set the target of completing 200 books in the entire year, here comes the book number 129. And the name of the book that we have today is The Wisdom of Life. Let us see the author details and the three lessons that we can see from this book. The author of this book is Arthur Schopenhauer. Let us see the Arthur Schopenhauer. Who is he and what are the target audience of this book? Arthur Schopenhauer is a encyclopedia of philosophy and a German philosopher. He is best known for his 1818 work, The World as Will and Representation. He born in 1788, like old age, and he died also in the old age, 1860. Still, we didn't see him in our previous generations also. He's a German philosopher, and he is famous for pessimism in the philosophy field. So these are the few collections of these books: The World as Will and Representation. From this person, we are learning something from the name of the book called The Wisdom of Life. Let us see the target audience. The 17-year-old who is about to read Schopenhauer's work in school, and the 44-year-old senior partner at a law firm who finds he spends all of his huge salary but doesn't really know why, and anyone who has a chronic health problem that they have so far avoided dealing with. So let us see the small synopsis of this book. The Wisdom of Life is an essay from Arthur Schopenhauer's last published work, which breaks down happiness into three parts and explains how we can achieve it. So this book is all about happiness and how we can achieve it in three parts. Let us listen from the author himself. A high degree of intellect tends to make a man unsocial. A high degree of intellect tends to make a man unsocial. One of my favorite quotes comes from the Schopenhauer. Talent hits a target no one else can hit. Let me repeat this statement. Talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one else can see. So these are the powerful two statements and powerful quote. I like it. Talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one else can see. So while most of his quotes are just as pithy, Schopenhauer was also known to be a rather pessimistic and gloomy fellow, albeit one with an excellent sense of humor. So he has lived in 1788 to 1860. This German philosopher is the most famous for coining and explaining the will to life, which is our survival instinct, and then relating how it keeps us from achieving peace and calm. Without formulating it as biologically as someone like Richard Dawkins did in The Selfish Gene, he figured out our desire to have children is what drives most of our behavior. If you think this model is oversimplistic, consider the time and context. Schopenhauer published this book, The Wisdom of Life, in 1851, almost 170 years ago, having been one of the first philosophers ever to research Eastern philosophy, reflect it, and bring it into an more Western context. What he came up with here is, in essence, Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, just in a different format. For a 170-year-old self-help piece from this book, that's pretty impressive, don't you think? Since it distracts us from employing our intellect, has us chasing silly status symbols, and makes us attract many more of the opposite sex, most of which are terrible long-term partners. Means it is helping people to solve the relationship issues also. He saw it as a sort of necessary but evil force which had to kept in check, for example, by studying art and philosophy. In the latter, that he provided plenty of with the book name called The Wisdom of Life. It is one of two essays from his last work, Paregra and Paralipomena. These are the two essays that he written in 1851 and published in 1851, establishes a simple model of happiness. Let us see the top three lessons or three parts of the happiness, how we can achieve it. These are the three parts of happiness which need to be handled properly. First part of happiness is personality, which is made up of your mental and physical health. Second part of happiness is property, which describes three kinds of needs all humans have. And the third part of happiness is your position, which is about what others think of you. Let's take a closer look on each and every part of happiness. Lesson number 1, your personality, which consists of your physical health and mental health, which is the most important factor for happiness. Not to his credit, but much to his credibility, Schopenhauer re-examined a lot of what the ancient Stoics of Greece had thought about to set up his model. One example is his view of our personality. Besides repeating that it's the only thing you can't escape from, no matter where you go, he also shared the idea that this psychological construct rests on two pillars. One is our body, second one is our mind. These two are constructive rests on the two pillars. So body and mind are the two pillars. On the basis of these two pillars, our psychology constructs like a building. Schopenhauer suggested a healthy body was a necessary prerequisite for a happy soul. So if you want to become a happy soul, then it is recommended for healthy body. Being healthy won't guarantee you are happy, but being unhealthy is sure to make you miserable. The key components to ensuring you remain fit are a simple natural diet and lots of movement. Simple natural diet and lots of movement of your body. In terms of mental fitness, Schopenhauer said intellectuals were never bored because they could find beauty and enjoyment in even the most mundane of situations. However, fools are always stuck with what's in front of them, thus more likely to develop strong desires for entertainment, toxic substances, sex, and so on. An intellectual man in complete solitude means the me time, has excellent entertainment in his own thoughts and fancies, while no amount of diversity or social pleasure, theaters, excursions, and amusements can ward off boredom from a dullard. As I like to put it, the only person you are guaranteed to spend the rest of your life with is you. I also resonate with this statement. I used to write the statement like, you are the only one who stays with yourself till the last breath of your life. Make sure you are in the great company. So your personality is the first part of your happiness, which contains about your physical health and mental health. So make sure your diet is simple and natural, and make sure you are making a lot of movement in a day. Let us see the lesson number 2. Schopenhauer suggested 3 kinds of material needs all human beings have and summarized them as a property, like a assets. Well, suggested isn't exactly the right term. He found them once again in the ancient Greece. The model of 3 human needs come from Epicurus, a philosopher opposite to the Stoic side of the spectrum. He thought we would live every day as if it were our last days, enjoying life as much as possible and indulging in our desires, for it just might be. His 3 category of needs are like this. So we have also 3 category of needs. First category of need is natural and necessary, whereas the second category is natural but unnecessary, whereas the third category is unnatural and unnecessary. So let us see each and every category. Natural and necessary. Food, a roof over your head and some clothes to wear. Roti, kapda, makan. Right? So this is the roti, makan and kapda. These are the 3 things, natural and necessary. Whatever keeps the elements at bay and helps you survive. Let us see the second category of need, natural but unnecessary. Excess food, excess space, excess sex. Whatever comes out of the same category as above, but goes beyond what you need to live. So too much of extremity is too dangerous, right? So too much of anything is natural but unnecessary. Let us see the third category, unnatural and unnecessary. Human inventions that serve to entertain us or satisfy some other artificial need, like sports cars, luxury handbags, a home cinema system, etc. These are the unnatural and unnecessary. The human inventions, the latest products or services to entertain us or to satisfy some other needs. Like sports cars or luxury handbags are like luxuries which are unnatural. Sometimes it is unnecessary. Schopenhauer summarized these as our property or what a man has. They contribute to our happiness insofar as they define what we expect of life. The more you expect, the harder it is to be happy. And while some material wealth gives us freedom, returns of more money are marginal and decline pretty quickly. A number often quoted is about $65,000 per year. If you live in a Western country, know your needs and what want you have. Means know your needs and want what you have, what you want to have. So these are the 3 needs that author is giving us for fulfilling our material needs, which we call as a property. So the first one is the personality, second one is the property, and then let us see the third one, which is nothing but the position. Lesson number 3, position is about what others think of you, and it's just an obstacle to happiness, not a supporting factor. The first factor in Schopenhauer is necessary for happiness. The second is somewhat necessary, but too much decreases our levels of joy. And the third is an impediment altogether, and it's about status. First one is the personality, which is necessary. Second one is somewhat necessary, which is nothing but property. The third, which is position, is impediment altogether, and it's all about status. To Schopenhauer, position is the cumulated result of what other people think of you. while he divides it into several components like reputation, pride, rank, honor, fame, and I thought his definitions of honor work was remarkable. He splits honor into objective honor and subjective honor. What is objective honor? What others think of you. Subjective honor is what you think of yourself. Since our own opinion counts so little in the grand scheme of things, we tend to focus on objective honor, which we can hardly influence. So we can't influence the others think about good of you, or we can't influence others think about bad about you. So in the same way, this is the objective honor, whereas you can control your subjective honor, which says that you think of yourself. How do you think of yourself? If we instead just ensured we think highly but not exuberantly of ourselves and let society think whatever it wants, we have calmer minds and would thus, as per personality, be happier. So let us see the three parts of the happiness from the author of 1800s, 18th century. The three parts of happiness contains personality, which talks about physical health and mental health. Second part of happiness is property, which helps about three kinds of needs all the human have, and the position, the status that people thinks about you or you think about yourself. These three are the three parts of the happiness will help you to make yourself happy in all the situations. Thank you so much for joining with me in this book summary, The Wisdom of Life. See you in another book summary tomorrow. Until then, stay connected, keep progressing.